Hey everybody, welcome to episode 7, 7th edition of Ask Ron. This time I'm only going to answer 2 questions because one of them is pretty lengthy to answer. So the first one is from Big Mike Cox. You all know Mike, you love him. And Mike asked me, did you ever get offered to work for Weider? And yes, I actually did get an offer to be a Weider staff writer. This was sometime around, I want to say 1997. It was toward the end of my years working for American Sports Network, which produced the ESPN and ESPN2 bodybuilding and fitness programming, a lot of it. I got an offer to be a staff writer for Weider because at that point I had been in the magazines as a writer for about 5 years. I was getting pretty well established. I'd had a lot of stuff published in Iron Man, a lot of stuff published in Muscle Mag, so my name was getting out there, and they knew I was a decent writer and I was reliable, I was quick. So that offer was made to me. At the time, I lived in Covina, California. So for you guys who know Southern California, you'll know that it's in the San Gabriel Valley. It's east of LA, it's a good 30 miles east of LA. And the job at Weider headquarters was at Woodland Hills, which is well, it's hot today. The valley. It was way up. It would have been about a 2-hour commute in the morning, 2-hour commute back home in the evening from where I was, because of traffic in LA at that time was pretty bad. It's much worse now. I was back there a couple of summers ago and it's way worse now. So had the money been like crazy money, I still probably would have maybe went for it. You know, I would have been working for Weider. Joe Weider was still alive at the time. He still had his office there, and you know, of course, every young writer dreams of working for the Weider magazines. But they were offering me, I don't know, it was something like $50,000 a year, something where just the idea of me sitting in traffic for 4 or more hours a day, Monday through Friday. I hate sitting in traffic. It kills me to sit in traffic. So I was like, thanks, but no thanks. You know, I appreciated the offer, and it would have been cool maybe, but no. So I never worked for Weider. I did have, just for set the record straight, I did technically write for Weider very briefly. Had one article published in Muscle and Fitness around that time. I think maybe that was right before they made me the offer. After that, and then I think I had one more in their men's fitness publication, maybe a year after that, and that was the end of it. Okay, so the big question. It's going to take a little time to answer, but it's a good question. I've often been asked that. So I've been privileged enough to work out with not a ton of pro bodybuilders, like someone like a Mark Lobliner who has the time and resources to do so. He can pretty much go train with everybody. Anyway, I've been lucky enough to train with a good amount of them, and I've trained legs in particular with 3 people that were very memorable experiences. That was Ronnie Coleman, Dorian Yates, and Branch Warren. So I'm often asked, which was the toughest of those workouts? So let me try to figure that out. First one was Ronnie Coleman. That was February 2005. I was out in Texas. Ronnie used to do these things called the workout weekend, where, you know, you would pay a certain amount, and he actually, I don't know if he barely even broke even, because the amount of stuff he provided for you in terms of food and all this lodging, everything. I don't think he made any money, not a dime. If he even broke even, I'd be surprised. So anyway, there was about 27 or 28 of us there, and one of the highlight of the experience was that you got to train with Ronnie. Now it was a little misleading, because not everyone did get to train with Ronnie. Obviously 28 people can't all have a workout together. That's ridiculous. So what they would do is they would split it up into 3 or 4 groups, and Ronnie had some friends with him, his good friends, that they would lead the other groups. And that was actually determined completely by luck. You put, your names in a hat. I believe it was an actual hat. Little slips of paper, and they swished it around, and, I swear this was, I got no favorable treatment, but I lucked out. There comes the sun. And I got to work out with Ronnie, while a lot of other people, 2/3 or 3/4 of people didn't. And he was doing legs. Everyone else was doing something different. One group was doing chest, one group was doing back. I think one group did shoulders and arms. So I drew legs, which is great for me because they've always been my strongest body part, my biggest body part. So if I could hang with Ronnie on anything or come close to it, it would be legs. I should also point out that this was February and Ronnie had not trained since the Olympia. He used to take off a good 3 months completely from the gym after the Olympia. Every year he would do that. Let his body have a complete break, the joints, everything. That being said, he was still pretty damn big, pretty damn strong. I think he had only been back in the gym for 2 weeks at this time. So the group was myself, Ronnie, and I think there was 3 other people. And we took turns, so you got a good amount of rest between sets. Sorry, I'm sweating. It was a great workout, and obviously I'll never forget it. It was in Metroflex Gym in Arlington. The only time I ever trained there. It was, it's what an atmosphere. The place is grungy and it's all big, strong people and blasting metal music and dirt and shit all over the place. But anyway, so I did front squats with Ronnie. It's the only time in my life I've ever front squatted 405. Don't ask me how I did it because I never did it before. I never did it again. But Ronnie was behind me spotting me. Shows you the power of the mind, right? We did hack squats. I was able to keep up with Ronnie on that. Maybe even go a little heavier because for whatever reason I've always been really strong on hack squats. I forget what else we did. Leg extensions. The highlight of the workout was walking lunges, parking lot lunges. Now it was pouring rain that day in Texas. And that parking lot is a very loose term. It's all gravel and dirt. There's no pavement, so it was a mud bath. And I had just bought some new sneakers. I know I'm going to sound like a pussy saying this. I was like, "Fuck, I'm going to ruin these brand new sneakers." And Ronnie said, "Don't worry, Ron. I'll buy you a new pair," which he did. I didn't ask him to, but whatever. So yeah, we all took turns. Ronnie, Vicky Gates was with us, and a few other quote-unquote campers, people that were there for the camp. I did like 185 for, I don't know, like 50 steps one way, 50 steps another. I was dying, but you got Ronnie Coleman, like I said, following behind you, yelling, "Come on, Ron, come on, Ron." So yeah, I didn't give up. It was a great workout. It wasn't that demanding only because, there was a lot of resting. I did get to rest a lot, which with some of these the other 2 workouts I'm about to talk about, that there was very little rest. But it was an awesome experience. I'm very grateful that I had the opportunity to do that. Toughest workout? No, it wasn't the toughest workout. I didn't get that sore, if I recall. I know I was sore. But so let's fast forward. That was 2005. 2010, I went out to Birmingham, England, to the Body Power Expo. But the main reason I went out is because I had gotten Dorian to agree to train with me or train me. He actually did train with me, but it was more. He wasn't training that hard or heavy. He was, he's not that much into weights anymore. He's more into total health and yoga and cardio, bike riding, hiking, all that good stuff. But anyway, so I was on a flight from New Jersey airport, New Jersey to Birmingham. It was an overnight flight. Everyone that was on going to the Body Power Expo was pretty much on that flight. Cutler, Heath, tons of guys, tons of pros, because for whatever reason, there was only, I think, 1 flight to Birmingham a day. So everybody was on the same flight. Anyway, so I barely slept on the flight. I get to England, didn't want to go to the hotel first, so I just took all my baggage, my luggage, went to Temple Gym, which was still there at the time. Dorian wasn't there yet. I was early. Turned out he didn't show up for like another 2 hours. Dorian's a lot more laid back now than he was back in his competitive days. But anyway, long story short, when he finally showed up, I barely had any meals. He gave me some of his Nox Pump stuff for some energy, which was cool. So basically, he trained with me, but it was more him putting me through a high-intensity workout. If you Google Ron Harris and Dorian Yates, the video for MD that we did comes up immediately. It was a really intense workout, very heavy. I remember leg extensions with forced reps and forced negatives, heavy leg presses, hack squats, leg curls, using his calf raise machine with a stack up to 1,000 pounds on it. So the whole workout was, I want to say it was about 30 minutes, and I barely got to rest. I was sweating rivers. But I wasn't going to quit. I had Dorian Yates, who was someone I really looked up to, still have a lot of admiration for and tremendous respect for. So I was not going to punk out. I was going to give every ounce of effort, and I did. And so that was my first day in Birmingham, my first morning. I was there for 3 days total. So I had to walk around and go to that expo and everything with some of the most sore legs I'd ever had in my life. It was just, I was walking like a cripple. You know, stairs were ridiculous. I had to really pull myself up railings and so on. It was rough. It was a very, very intense workout. It was very brief. We did, I believe it was, you know, there'd be warm-up sets, but there was really only one all-out set. But when it was all out, it was all out. It was 4 reps, drop sets. It was just every possible ounce of effort was expended. I couldn't have possibly done any more. And I didn't want to do any less than possible because, again, I wanted to impress Dorian. He was someone I looked up to. So I was sore the whole time I was in Birmingham. My legs were killing me, and I had to do a lot of walking. So that was 2010. Okay, so now let's fast forward to, I believe it was 2014. Branch Warren came out here. Branch was still a Gaspari athlete at the time, and I've been affiliated with Gaspari since 2005. So they asked me, you know, would you mind helping them out, going to some store appearances around. It was actually, there was a couple in Massachusetts. There was a couple in, I believe there was one in Rhode Island, one in Connecticut. Anyway, I was with Branch for like 4 days. So, you know, while he was in doing an appearance near my town, I, of course, took the opportunity to get him to train legs. And, you know, I had arranged it ahead of time to make sure we'd be on a similar schedule. So we went to my gym to do legs. It was June, hot and humid. And let me preface it by saying the meal we had beforehand, it was very foolishly chosen on my part. It was a restaurant that I had never been to before, and they had something like potato chip fried chicken, which looked delicious on the menu, but turned out to be a very, very bad choice to have pre-workout training legs with Branch Warren. So anyway, we get to the gym. We didn't get to the gym probably till like 8 o'clock at night. He had done 2 store appearances that day in different parts of, one was in Everett, Mass, and the other was in Easton, Mass. So by the time we had eaten and everything, got to the gym, it was probably about 8, maybe even closer to 9 o'clock at night. Air conditioning at my gym was busted at the time, so it was probably about 85 degrees in there, which to him was nothing. I know Metroflex gets up to well over 100 degrees every summer from, you know, weeks and weeks on end, so he wasn't fazed by it. I was dying already, you know, a couple sets in, I'm dying. Whew, sorry for all the sweat, everybody. It's like 85 degrees here today. So we did like drop sets on leg extensions. It totaled 100 reps. Did squats, straight sets of those, leg press drop sets, high reps, hack squats. I think he left him alone on the hack squats, and I just went to like lay down for a few minutes. It's the only workout of my life where I actually entertained the thought of quitting. I was about to say, you know what, Branch, I'm done, but you know, I couldn't. My pride wouldn't let me, and I said, you know, legs are like the only thing I can hang with any of these guys on. I gotta gut this out. I gotta make it through. And so I did. The reason I would say this was the toughest workout was because the pace is relentless. He doesn't rest much. People think, you know, well, his form, this and that. His form on legs is actually very good. You know, he doesn't use a shorter range of motion. You can't knock anything about the way the guy trains legs. And the whole workout was probably less. It was under an hour, I think. By the time we got to hams, I had barely any gas in the tank. We just did a few sets of leg curls, and that was it. And did we even do calves? I don't remember. But I couldn't even have my post-workout shake. I was so nauseated. And that's a rarity for me. Rarely do I ever feel nauseated. I couldn't drink my shake for about 90 minutes. And then we went out to eat. I couldn't eat my food. I had to take it home, and I ended up eating it. I think it was almost 1 a.m. before I could eat that meal. My stomach was just still in knots from that workout. And the soreness, I was sore for almost a week. My quads were just killing me. So if I had to pick which was the hardest of those workouts, it was definitely one with Branch Warren, the leg workout I did with Branch Warren. They were all amazing experiences. I wouldn't have traded any of those. So I don't want to say anyone was better than the other. Training with Ronnie, training with Dorian, training with Branch, doing legs with all those guys, it was awesome. I would do it again if my joints would let me, if the circumstances lined up. But those were 3 very different leg workouts that were all, you know, outstanding in their own way, and that I'll never forget. Well, that's been enough for one more edition of Ask Ron. Talk to you guys later.